Listening to Kasmul Makore, I am a bit, I'm really interested in it. And I like his statement in what he's saying, that there is a safe place that government is getting themselves, that Kenya Kwanza is putting themselves. And it's a safe place that we are dealing with anarchists.
Word that everybody is afraid of, the word anarchy. I don't know why you're playing safe around that word. Anarchy is a political ideology. And it is the political ideology that the government wants to push us to. And I say this because if you analyze what the word anarchy is, it's just basically anti-Rutoism. Because what the outgoing President Ruto is running is akin to what could be described as, and pardon my largesse, a kakistocratic tumbocracy. In the sense that the only way you can qualify for this government is if you're utterly corrupt, if you're utterly inept and uneducated, and if you have a name that has bedeviled this country for long. So sorry to break it to you, fellow comrades in the Catholic University of East Africa and all other school-going children, that you will never be in government because you're educated and you stand for something. Dimwits, all of you. That is what we are fighting. I need us to be alive to this reality because that informs our now and that will inform our what next. I used to be shy of this question, but Kenya is akin to, I would liken our beloved country to a beautiful woman in a narcissistic and abusive relationship. And asking that woman what next is after she bears her heart out to you and you tell her, wa, sauta do. It is imperative, it is incumbent upon us to, one, figure out how do we take our friend from this situation, because otherwise we run the risk of victim blaming. And a lot of the times the people who are asked what next are the victims. It has never been to the powerful people because they know exactly what is now, and they know that up to 100 generations they will be sorted off the blood of your backs. And they use your blood to sign political deals. That's all that's needed. Kitambo, it used to be signatures. Nowadays, the more lucrative thing in my analysis is the blood of young men. Not even for rituals or anything, because you guys are not that important. I need to remind you, when you're walking around, don't you dare think that you're a human being. You're nothing in this country as a young person. We despise you and we hate you, and that is why when there are police excesses and we go on the streets, we are told, tone down. Between you and a headless chicken, I see no difference. This is how we push back. It is in the remembrance of the cruelty that this regime has meted upon us. When you remember that corruption is akin to genocide, when someone steals money that was meant for vaccines, when someone steals money that's meant for higher education, when someone steals money that's meant for food, it should anger you because there are millions who will never get to see the light of day. We push back because of the resolve we have while saying Daima Sisi wa Kenya. We will push back because what next looks like this. We will deal circumfoniously with this government. We will root it out. We will ensure that all these corrupt officials face the law. We will ensure that rogue policemen, and it has gotten to a point where we have to be very radical in our communication, in the sense that abnormal behavior during abnormal times is normal behavior. The state is trying to push young men and women to violence because they cannot reason. That is why the only way the state can deal with you is if they criminalize you, because they know they can manipulate criminal law.
That's what, and it's a safety, it's a safety belt that the government is putting. So I dare say this, and I will say this, and I will repeat, and I said I will not get tired of repeating. The more William Ruto will get comfort that police have crushed protesters in Nairobi, that the protests have gone down, that these people, some people were sponsoring the protest, so the protests have gone down and now things have gone back to normal, and so I should not be perturbed by the development of the last 1 month. That is the place that Ruto will regret some time later, especially even in 2027. I am still saying that. And I don't want to refuse, and I don't want to convince those who believe that their financing that was financed could be. Yes, in fact, let me say it was financed. Let me accept it was financed. But the contemporary, but the big thinking here is, what was financed? What was financed? Okay, if it is financing, then that you can even argue. Even government the other day paid goons to drive in town and snatch funds from people, and so that will be it. But what was financed? Did someone finance the young people to raise questions on accountability? So President Ruto, and I say Kenya Kwanza team, they should not take comfort that we have successfully branded them as anarchists, and so the country is moving forward. I dare say that that is a safe space that you're putting yourself, and you're giving yourself a false comfort. The real problem here is that the people are not happy with what's happening in the country. And I want to play for you a reaction by another gentleman I saw in TikTok today, was saying the feeling that government is not responding, or rather did not respond to what I said.
One of the most frustrating things about today, with the announcement of the other half of the CS that have been announced, I feel like we don't have a leader. I feel like we have an oppressor. Hear me out. The reason I think Ruto is a solid oppressor is he can hear the people's voices. He can. Yani umse aizi sema ajasikia ni nini anaambiwa. And the reason, for Ruto to rise up to leadership, he has to understand that at this point in time, he's dealing with the most educated citizenship ever in this country. Ever. So, for you to qualify as a leader, you need to be equipped to lead educated people. The reason I'm deeming him an oppressor is, even with all this knowledge, he defiantly decides to take that route. Defiantly. And I'm sure guys are livid, just like I am. I'm so livid right now. And this is so frustrating. Well, we know the next phase now is this thing is going to go to Parliament. I think maybe next week the vetting will begin. And MPs know they shouldn't vet anyone through. They know. They know. But mark my words, there is a parliamentarian that went on TV na akasema Ruto ameshika bunge. Ni venye tu sitaki kusema tu hiyo jina hapa, lakini amewashika hivi. Man, let's pray for our land. Let's pray for our country. Not only praying, but let's be active citizens, man. We have to call out power when power makes a wrong move. The president, this is a wrong move. Your heart is so hardened. The president's heart is so hardened that he can't. It's. I feel like Ruto is like Saul in the Bible. Roho yake imekuwa ngumu. I'm sure even him is going to face that rejection. Hearts do soften if he purposes to do that. If he purposes, God has capacity to soften hearts. The people, when the people speak, that's God speaking. All right, man. Tomorrow we buy flowers. Tupatane. Fact, funny enough, hiyo tia gasirusha tu hapa nje. Let's go lay these flowers. Kids have died. Kids have died for us to enjoy some liberties.
And I partly agree with what he's saying. If you listen to what Ruto is saying on top of cars in Mombasa and in the coast, he's still talking of billions set aside for that, billions set aside for that, billions set aside for that. And the political rhetoric seems not to have changed. In fact, it's just gone back to campaign. And what he's saying, I'm not seeing any response to what the Gen Zs were asking. Just to confirm to you that Ruto is not, and Kenya Kwanza is not paying attention to what the public is raising, you may want to hear what David Ndii is saying. David Ndii did a tweet today, and he's saying, he responded to another person saying, "We are very happy with our achievements. I am enjoying the political freedom and civil liberties I fought for. It is up to you to fight for whatever you want, but we are not going to sit by and let a mindless mob undermine our achievements." My cue, David Ndii is amongst William Ruto's handlers that members of the public were saying must go, or rather should go. If you analyze this tweet, there is something that he's saying. In fact, one of the features and one of the regretful features, or rather activity, or rather conduct of some of this of David Ndii has been a know-it-all and very dismissive. Very dismissive. And believe like there is a sense of entitlement. We cannot change. We cannot change. This is it. And so I want to explain, just looking at how the president is talking in public, how some of his handlers are still responding to the young people, and the arrogance that is still being shown online, Ruto has a bumpy road ahead. And as I always warn, I don't think the last 2 years were worst. In fact, next 3 years, between now to 2027, is more bumpy. It has more casualties. It has more unpredictabilities. And it is not true that you have fixed the country. If you fix your mind, oh my goodness, if you fix your mind that I was dealing with anarchists, and so I have nothing to worry about what they were saying, you are lying to yourself. This is why Ruto's road to 2027 is still very bumpy. President's advisors maintain their monopoly, and Kenya Kwanza maintain its monopoly of ideology. There is some rigidity. There is some rigidity. The fellows still believe we need to increase the taxes to pay our debts and to do that and to do this. They've not had a contemporary thinking that we need just to cut our expenditure. If there is something I can tell you, we are not so honest about, and I think no media should carry any story about austerity measures, is that because on one side, you're talking about cutting expenditure, but parliament ndio ile inasema the office of the first lady and the second lady cannot be squashed because there are legal contracts there that has to be obeyed. And that's why I ask, William Ruto wants to fold some 35 state corporations that are not yielding any profit. These state corporations, people who are working there have contracts. So if that would be a ground to argue that we cannot fold offices where those occupants have valid contracts, then are we even going to move ahead? Remember, the Office of Faith Diplomacy, it was created. It's not anywhere in the Constitution. The Office of the First Lady, the spouse to the Deputy President, and the spouse to the Prime Cabinet Secretary, these offices are not in the Constitution in the first place. So even the valid contracts that we are saying are invalid because the offices are not even in the Constitution. They're the kind of offices that you can just wipe out by stroke of a pen. And look at that. So these are the same people that are telling you we are honest about this and that. The same politicians are still attending events in their numbers, convoys in their numbers. While in media, there are flashy headlines. We're still talking about this, but the audit queries that are coming are just billions. In Bungoma, there was a celebration. How 25 million was spent on buying flowers on an event that is entirely supposed to be organized by a national government is a puzzle that you cannot even explain to my 4-year-old girl. It's a puzzle you can't explain. So the more we maintain that, it's not going to change. Number 3, the second thing is, the voice of the masses is still dismissed. And you'll be told you don't understand. Let me give you a very interesting, just as not an anecdote. Someone was telling me, someone who was conned was giving me a story that someone conned him. Na huyo mtu alimwambia, he met someone and someone told him that this wash thing, so I can help you print some money. I can help you print money. So if you bring 2,000, you can double. He was just telling me a story, and he was conned somewhere in town. Just con games. Then the person told him that came up with some machine, some in the size of a milk box, or a box of milk. So that machine was allegedly, you put some you put the right note, and then it will come, money will come in bunch. So if you put 10,000 this side, then the other side will end up with 20,000 protruding from that machine. And then he kept on saying me, so he asked the person, how does it work? And then he was told, you don't understand. Now, that is the kind of analogy. You are dealing with, if you look at the people that were in the street, for example, Chege, who was killed, he was an ICT expert. So the lawyer is in this street, a doctor is in this street, a BCom graduate is in this street, one of the best economists with first-class honors in these streets. People understand. But the government and the advisors keep on saying, these are mindless mob who don't understand. It can't be that you're the only person who is understanding, and any other person around is not right. You can't be too right that any other person you see around you is wrong. So that's also one. The third thing is the comfort of I have neutralized an anarchy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think someone should tell, this is the truth. Someone is saying that the young people that went there were people that wanted to remove Ruto from power using unconstitutional means. I say no. You cannot remove a government from power using a handkerchief and a flag. You cannot. To remove a government from power, you need the bullet, at least behind you. It's not that easy. It's not that casual. These fellows are carrying the flag of the country, which shows patriotism. These fellows were talking about the country. They were talking about the governance. And so it's very critical and it's very important. The comfort that I've neutralized an anarchy is giving the state is a wrong comfort, because you will end up not looking at the deep-seated issues that were being raised. And the more you don't address them, the rage will reoccur. The rage will reoccur. I'm seeing of Nane Nane, and a hashtag being pushed Nane Nane, that 8th of August. They're pushing for another one. And lastly is the Raila factor. Hey, it is sasa mtu anakudanganya because you've gotten Raila Odinga behind you, so things are fixed. Mambo ni nyue. No. I think this time around that's not it. Because I said the country will ask accountability questions, whether it is Oburu Odinga who is the CS for Treasury, or it is Mbadi, or it is who. And Raila Odinga is to offer some political optics, but political optics without tangible sensitivity to the plight of the country because of when they raise the governance issues is actually something that cannot produce favorable results. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my take. Let's meet in the next. Thank you.